Hi guys, and welcome back to another video. So today I'm going to teach you 5 effective moves for midfielders. So getting straight into the first move, we call this one the jab step. Really effective, slight hesitation and movement so that we can shake off a defender and either get a pass off, get by the defender, or a shot off, depending in which scenario we're in on the pitch. So I've just set up this scenario here so that we can see how we use these moves in a match and how we can use them not only to get by a defender, but just to create a little bit of space and then get those passes away. Sometimes the best midfielders aren't dribbling all the way past the defenders. They're just shaking them for a split second, creating that half a yard so that they can play the ball forward. So the jab step is all about taking small touches when we've got the defender on our back, and then we're going to use some slight jabbing movements of our feet to get that defender to bite on the movement, thinking we're going into that space, and then take the ball to the opposite side. So all we're going to be doing to start with, we just take a little touch and it's a jab step. So it's a little touch, jab step. And we can work on this movement with our back to the defender, taking a slight touch with the outside of our foot, and then with the same foot, we're going to stomp it down. And this jab step is what's going to send the defender. So it's a little touch, and then we jab with that same foot. So it's touch, jab, and then we can create the space and get that pass away. The second move we're going to work on is the Frankie De Jong, and this is a movement he's perfected. It's become world famous at this point. We know Frankie De Jong is going to use this in a match, and he still uses it to this day so effectively. And the reason he can still use it, even though defenders know he's going to perform it in a match, is because he's mastered the movement so well that he still makes those defenders believe he's going to push the ball in one direction. He fakes and goes the opposite direction, or even if the defender doesn't bite and he starts to go this way, he's got such good awareness to recognize that, and then he can still take the ball in the opposite direction. So this is how we can perfect it ourselves. What he does here, he takes a small touch in one direction, starting to lead that defender in that same direction, and then he has a little glance, makes it look like he's recognized a pass. The defender sees this. A lot of defenders like to watch attackers' eye movements to see if they recognize passes so they can jump and anticipate the movement they're going to perform next. And then what he does is makes it look like he's going to throw a pass or take the ball in this direction, and he throws his foot beside the ball. He almost runs past the ball, gets nice and low, brings that defender with him, and then he takes the touch with the outside of that same foot. So let's look at it again here. He has a look, steps over the ball, and then takes the ball in the opposite direction. And Frankie De Jong is so good that he sometimes even combines the jab step with his own signature move to still wriggle out of different situations. So sometimes he might take it, throw his movement, jab step, and then take the ball. Or he might do it 2 or 3 times. We've seen this a couple of times where he takes it, steps, jab steps, and then takes the ball in the opposite direction and gets that pass away. So the important thing here with this movement is to be confident leaving the ball for a split second, knowing our body is in between the defender and the ball so it's protected, and then we can step over the ball, really sell that defender into thinking we're going this side, then take it with the outside foot, drive into the space that we've created, then we can get that pass off early, get into a new space to receive the ball. For the third skill, we're going to work on moving the ball to deceive the defender. The first 2 movements have relied on body feints, movement of our body to shake that defender off and then take the ball in the opposite direction. Now we're going to have a bit of a body feint, still dropping that shoulder, a little turn of the hips, but also movement of the ball is what's going to bait that defender into going one side, and the snapping in the opposite direction is what's going to create the space for us. So this is something Sergio Busquets uses all the time when he's got his back to a defender, and then he drags the ball to one side, starts to open up his hips to make that defender think he's going to take the ball in this direction. Then with the inside of that same foot, he then snaps it back across himself, and then he's got all this space on the opposite side. And if the defender really bites, he can dribble into this space, or if he just creates a half a yard, he can then find the ball forward to an attacking teammate. So the action here, we've got the defender, we need to make sure we're side on so we can see their positioning. we roll the ball to one side, still be aware of that defender, keep them in your peripheral vision. As they start to bite, then we snap the ball with the inside of our opposite foot. Then once we've got comfortable with this action, rolling it and snapping it, make sure we start to be deceptive with our body movement as well. So start to drop that shoulder and open up those hips. That's really gonna sell the defender into thinking this is the direction you're gonna go in. So we roll the ball, open up our hips, drop our shoulder, and then snap it back in the opposite direction. And then once we get comfortable with it, we can start to perform it a bit quicker. So it's roll, snap, and then we find the ball forward. The next move we're going to work on is one that Sergio Busquets uses all the time. I'd even go as far to say that this is his signature move. And this is going to be a perfect move for you players who find yourself in that number 6 role between the defenders and the attacking midfielders. You're that link player in there, because usually the player that's marking you is an attacking player, and especially if they're a team that likes to high press, they're going to bite on every movement that you make. So this is a really great opportunity to create some space. So what Sergio will do here, he'll have his foot on the ball, sole on top of the ball like this. He's going to roll it back behind him in this direction and open up his hips to make it seem like he's going to play the ball back to his centre back, or maybe his right back or left back if he's doing it on the opposite side. And then what he does is he relies on that attacker who's going to start to press that movement to create the space on the opposite side. So if he's playing it back to a centre back or a right back, this is a great chance for the attacking player to press the ball, because they're in a vulnerable situation and it's high risk, high reward. So as he plays that ball, he uses the sole to drag it back into the space, opens up his hips to make it seem like he's going to pass the ball. That attacker starts to bite on that movement and already start to press, and then he fakes like he's going to pass, and then he'll hook it with the outside of his foot into this space here, or he'll fake the pass and he'll play an L drag behind his standing foot into the space. And with either of these actions, the ball is protected. So if I use the outside of my foot, my body's in between the defender and the ball. And if I do the L drag, again, my body's in between the ball and that defender. So what we need to do here, we open up, have a look, make it really seem like we're going to play this ball, create an action that might make it seem like we're going to pass, and then hook it with the outside of our foot. And if that defender bites, you're going to have a ton of space on this opposite side. You'll see Sergio use this all the time and drive into that space. So we can work on this movement here, foot on top of the ball, into the space, and then in here and play the ball forward. And the fifth and final move is the roll snap. And I've purposely left this one till last because it's the most advanced out of the 5. But if you get this one right, you can really sell that defender into believing you're going one side, and you're going to get a ton of space on the opposite side. So the roll snap is simply rolling our foot over the ball, making the defender believe we're going to be rolling the ball in this direction to get them to move. And then we're using the outside of that same foot to snap it in the opposite direction. So as we roll, we snap the ball, and as you can see, it goes in the opposite direction. And if the defender bites on that first movement, we're going to have a ton of space here to either drive forward or play the ball forward. So this movement here, it's a little bit tricky to get, so start slowly, but you're relying on the snap down of your foot to create that surface for the ball to rebound off. So it needs to be a firm roll and then a really firm snap down with the foot. We're not rolling and then pushing the ball with the outside of our foot. We're relying on the snapping down and the ball movement to rebound off the side of our foot. So we need to get a good grip of the ball, roll across it, and then snap down beside it so the ball rebounds in that opposite direction. And again, to make it even more deceptive, we can start to open up our hips, even have a quick look if we want to, make it seem like we've seen a pass, so that when we play that movement, the defender really bites on it, and then when we snap, we've got that space to complete a pass or drive forward. So let's look at it a bit quicker here. So we have a look, roll, snap, and off we go. So a quick bonus tip for you, we've looked at 5 different movements here. My recommendation would be to take 2 or maybe 3 maximum and perfect those instead of trying to learn all 5. See which ones you're more familiar with, more comfortable with, and really try to perfect those. You'll see even at the top level, most high level midfielders, attackers, they have 2 or 3 moves that they use all the time, but they can perform them so well at match speed and really deceptive with their movements that even if the defender knows they're going to do it, it's still valuable and they can still get out of trouble. So as you can see here, we used a couple from Frankie De Jong, a couple from Busquets. So see which ones apply best to your game and work naturally with your body's movements. And what you'll find is you can actually start to combine these movements. Frankie De Jong uses the jab step and the Frankie De Jong movement. You could work on the Busquets, take it here, work on the Frankie De Jong jab step, work on these small body movements. That's really going to help you shake off those defenders. And then once you start to get confident with the technique, try them out in a match, try them out in a training session so you can work on the timing. So there we have it, 5 effective moves you can use in the midfield. Make sure you practice these by yourself, get the technique down, then start to try a few out in your training sessions or against some of your friends, and then see if you can perform them in a match. Learn the timing and see how effective they can be for creating that little bit of space. But if you enjoyed today's video, make sure you smash the like button, hit that subscribe button for weekly training videos, and I'll see you guys in my next video.